Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. This is the slight rough drawings that I've got. It's a commission piece, really excited for this one. It's going to be a dovetail box that's going to hold watches, cufflinks and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I hope you stick around. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing because it really helps me out a lot. Let's get stuck in. We're going to mill up some timber. I'll quickly just run over that, and then once we've got our pieces we'll start marking out our dovetails. So just to explain, I've just milled this and I know this is a perfect 90 because I've just done it on my thicknesser. So because I haven't used this bandsaw since I moved the machine, as in I haven't used it for resawing or very accurate milling, I'm just going to check that the table hasn't shifted, and the easiest way for me to do that is to put it up against the blade. I know this block is 90 and all the way down I can see there's no gap. From the top of the blade to the bottom there's no gap, so I know that my table's sitting square. This fence is not the best, so I never rely on trying to make sure the table is 90 to that. I'd rather do it to my workpiece. And now I'm just going to adjust my fence. And the way I do that is I use my bandsaw buddy. Got this from Axminster. It's not very expensive and it's a handy little tool. It's magnetic, it goes onto your blade. You can adjust your fence and align it to your bandsaw buddy. I've just undone the screws here very gently, and that's about 90 there, so I'll lock it down and then we'll be good to go. I've got all the timber milled up now. These are the pieces that I'm going to be using, the two oak sides, and then, sorry, the front and back for the box, and then the sides, which is going to be an ash. And then over here I'll be using this for the lid and the bottom. Just clamped a piece of scrap wood to my fence so that I can align the edge of the workpiece flush, and then I know that every piece I cut is the same. So I'm just going to mark my tailboard. I'm going to mark my tails all the way around, and then the pin board you just do the 2 faces. I like the score mark. Sometimes I leave them in because, I don't know, I just quite like it. Kind of makes it feel like the work is handmade. So that's how I mark my tailboard. The time is quite late, so I'm gonna head home and then we'll pick this up tomorrow. Morning. We're gonna pick up where we left off yesterday or last night. We're gonna mark out the tails on the tailboard and hopefully get them all cut out, and then we'll work on the pins. So all I'm going to be doing is using my dividers to mark out my half pins on each end of the board, and then we're just going to use the dividers to roughly guess the pin size, and then we can adjust it once I've done the steps. So I'm going to have my half pins to be about 5 mil or so, maybe a bit more than that. It really is just however you want. There's no set rule. You don't have to have them a certain dimension, but I like to have mine at least half the width of my material, so yeah, that's probably about right. So what we're going to do is take the edge of your divider right onto the edge of your board, then put your pin in, dig a nice little hole, and then go from the other side and do the same thing. Now we've got the 2 half pins marked, we can make this bigger. So I'm probably going to go for maybe 5 tails in here. I'm also going to have a groove for the panel, so I want to make sure that doesn't run in the pin, it has to run into the tail, so we'll have to make sure of that. So let's walk this along. We're going to put the divider in the mark we made. We're not going to stab this the first time around, we're just going to walk it along just to count and to see if we're within the right dimension. Now that's not too bad because we are overlapping the half pin board. I'd like to take a little bit off that so I land halfway through the width of the pin. So I'm going to take a tiny bit off. I've said this in my last video, but when you adjust this is going to adjust 6 times because we know we've got 6 steps in there. I was going to go for 5, but I think 6 might look nice, so we'll do that. So now that we've got the dimensions, we can make our marks and actually stab the divider into the wood. And then we don't do the last one. And what you do is you take your dividers and go back on yourself from your half pin mark. Just to note, this part isn't super critical because these are just the tails. You can cut your tails, sorry, the noise. You can cut the tails any way you'd like, as long as you match those pins up to your tails. It doesn't really matter, so don't be too disheartened or too scared to just mark them up roughly. Okay, so I'm just going to use this to just start my line off. This is not to cut the angle, it's just to get the 90 degree, and then I'll freehand after that. Okay, so I'm just going to take this now and flip it around so I can cut from this way. I just find it easier to work this side with a saw, but you can do whatever you feel comfortable with. So that's how they will look once you've done them. So all we got to do now is clear out the waste and cut the 90s on the both ends. I've got all the dovetails cut and relatively fit in well, I hope. So the next thing to do is put the groove for the bottom panel and the lid. I could have done this before cutting the dovetails, but I just forgot, and I'm just going to have to do it now. It's not really a big issue because I've still got my reference edge and everything. So we'll put a groove in the bottom using a router, making sure that I don't go all the way through on the tails and the pins, and obviously we'll clean up all the dirty surfaces we've got before we glue it all together. What I'm going to do is gently just put everything in its place, and then I'll put the glue inside then. Okay. Well, what did we say this was? Let's see. This is a rough drawing of what the side legs are going to look like, and then I'm going to have some brass rods in there. I've left the box to dry. I've just planed the... That wraps up part 1 of this video. This is a 2-part project. Part 2 will come out sometime next week. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you are, and you hit the bell icon so you can be notified when part 2 does get uploaded. As always, to everyone who's already following the channel and liking my videos and commenting and all of that good stuff, I sincerely thank you, and it really helps me out a lot and it pushes me to continue, and yeah, I'm just really grateful. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next video. Bye.